Hello everyone, I am the Lore Explorer and this is Subnautica, an open-world, resource-gathering, survival game focusing on and hinting at a story that took place around 1,000 years ago. In the last episode, we found out why the Aurora was shot out of the sky. The entire planet has been put under quarantine by an alien species around 1,000 years ago. The species has since seemed to disappear from the planet, but the buildings they've left behind sure still working, let me tell you. We also explored the Aurora and learned its history. While in its caved-in walls, we learned the blueprints to two extremely useful items, the prawn suit and the Neptune rocket that's capable of getting us off this planet. Though we're not really able to launch it yet until we shut down the quarantine enforcement platform, we can walk the bottom of the ocean like a freaking robot. And when we get it, it even tells us that some people need training so they don't get a big head and feel like a freaking badass, basically. Aboard the Aurora, we also found PDAs holding a secret secondary mission for the crew. A search and rescue mission for the ship named the Degasi. The ship's captain, Paul Torgal, was known for making rash yet profitable decisions. You'd think the life extension technology inside the man would allow him to grow wise, but one of those rash decisions was to divert from their plotted course to do a resource scan of the planet 4546b. To their surprise, the quarantine enforcement platform did its job. Only 3 people survived the crash of the Degasi via life pod. Paul Torgal, the captain of the Degasi, Bart Torgal, his son, who has cerebral implants, allowing him to get something called digi-training in biochemistry and stellar economics, and Marguerite Maida, a mercenary hired to protect the ship from pirates. She is very experienced in combat, having fought in the Mongolian Defense Force and the Trans-System Federation. The 3 survivors spent 5 weeks drifting around the ocean being battered by rain until they finally washed up on Floater Island. Paul had Maida salvage the Degasi wreckage to get the metal to make a shelter, and he set his son out to find a source of food. Bart ends up planting a garden to be their food supply, but he soon found their growth rate was too low to sustain what they needed. Yet, things seemed good to Paul. They had food, water, and shelter, but the other 2 had different ideas. Maida speaks up and tells Paul the reality. There are no building materials here, and Bart may be too afraid to tell you, the garden just ain't enough to sustain us, and we need to search the ocean. But Paul isn't interested, so they stay put for a small while. Things seem to be going alright for them for a while. They built some other small bases, an observatory, a little greenhouse of sorts to expand on their food supply, but their luck came to an end when a gigantic storm came.
Son, I said wait for the storm to pass. Your life's more valuable to me than a plant patch.
You stopped being in charge when the ship you were captaining sunk.
I'll stop being in charge when you take charge of yourself.
Say, Chief. Chief,
What?
you know how to drain those grow beds of 40 tons of storm water? Or how to conjure food from the air?
I know how to prioritize.
I'm just saying, if that's so, what's your boy's life worth to you today? If tomorrow you're gonna be so hungry you start wondering what he tastes like, let him go deal with the plants.
Son, go deal with the plants.
Bart Torgal has disembarked the habitat.
Interfere with my family again, and when rescue arrives, I will leave you here. Do you understand me?
No rescue coming, Chief. Not in time. No staying here neither. This rain keeps falling, sooner or later this place will be buried. Only choice we got is whether to get buried with it.
Huh, we can attest to that. Altera's rescue plan was, well, I don't know, bro, build a new spaceship. But remember, you build it, you buy it. We have to pay for every piece of material we pick up here on planet 4546b. I guess this PDA is tracking it, but its usefulness far outweighs its, crippling anchor of dead on my ankle. But anyway, the storm caused a landslide that caved in some of their base. So far, they've spent about a week on Floater Island. Their base is destroyed, food washed away, and Maida is sorta pissed. She tells Paul it's about time they leave. She gives him coordinates to a cave she wants to bunker down in. Tons of material, she says. Paul simply agrees to review her proposal. While exploring their bases, we see they are actually pretty resourceful. They have a lot of cool technology, and even found a purple alien tablet. I wonder what that was doing on this island. But Maida isn't happy here, and Paul finally agrees. They abandon Floater Island and set up a new base 200 meters below sea level in a cave full of jelly shrooms. I imagine Maida took care of the local population of crab snake, or at least had to contend with them every now and again. I mean, check out all the stuff they have here. Boxes and boxes full of materials. Beds, a water filtration system, but the glass they have isn't really strong enough to keep the water out of the base. Paul tries to give Bart the money rules the world speech, but I don't think Bart is buying it, mostly because Maida has been the one calling the shots here, but at least Paul realizes they need her. They have a very little chance of surviving here without her, but there's only one problem. Maida still isn't happy. She wants to go even deeper. She says water is slowly leaking in. Plus, Bart found something that shouldn't be down there on the scanners. We may be able to shut down that gun so it doesn't shoot down our rescue ship, or the next ship that just happens to come by. Paul's response is, "You're mad," but Maida says she is leaving with or without them, so this leaves Paul to ponder on a decision. This somehow leads him to the thought, I was right to come here to 4546B. This place has enough materials for a fleet of Cyclops submarines. And he just called Maida mad. I mean, this guy, come on. But Maida has a few thoughts of her own she decided to record and put down in a PDA.
These conniving corporate bourgeois, inbred, incompetent, self-absorbed jerks don't have a damn clue. The kid's not so bad. He's even useful. But I swear, everything that comes out of his father's idiot face is a narcissistic lie. He wants to stay in this cave, his problem. I'm the one doing the heavy lifting. When sea monsters are hunting you, you don't hide. You hunt the sea monsters. Then you build a bigger boat out of sea monster bones and you hunt bigger monsters. Keep going until there aren't any monsters left to hunt you. I'm going deeper. I'm gonna find what shot us down and I'm gonna tear its damn heart out. I've started the prep work. The kids taught me how to make enameled glass. I've started stockpiling metal ores to build myself a sea moth. I'll raid the indoor grow beds before I leave.
To no one's surprise, they all find themselves 500 meters down in the deep Grand Reef, home to many hostile creatures. All the while, Bart has been observing the species here and recording his findings. This is probably the only solace he finds between the constant bickering between Paul and Maida. While doing some experiments, he realized stalker teeth are just what they needed to enhance the glass they have for the base. Maida overheard this, and 3 hours later, she came back with a bag full of stalker teeth, armed with nothing but a heat blade. She said she had them eating out of her hands, and well, I believe her. But now that they've been in the water for a while now, the coronavirus is starting to progress, far enough for Bart to realize that they are sick. The other two try to brush it off, but Bart hits them with the facts. It's an alien bacteria in every organism on this planet, and it's altering their genetic code. Bart begins research on the bacteria. He starts studying native species to see how the bacteria works and progresses. He tasked Maida to find these samples, and this led to something you probably wouldn't believe if I told you, so you should probably just listen for yourself.
Marguerite Maida has boarded the habitat.
What are you so happy about, Maida?
Say, kid, I brought you something.
Is that a Leviathan outside?
Towed it home on the back of the sub.
You killed that thing?
It's still breathing. I was about to finish the job, but I can stay and chat if you'd like. No? Then make yourself useful and pass me that hardened blade.
Are you out of your mind? You brought that thing here? What if it's not as dead as it looks? What if others come?
You prefer it got curious and came of its own accord, or got messed up and dragged here?
When we get off this planet, I am going to drag you through every court in the damn Federation.
Maida successfully subdued a freaking Reaper Leviathan and towed it back to base with a submarine. I feel like it had to be a Cyclops because I doubt a sea moth could haul that thing around. But let me just say, this chick is a ding-dang, flip-flopping badass. But for once, that tart baker Paul Torgal was right.
I have had it with you risking our lives.
Oh, stow it, Chief. The kid can't kill this disease without fish to study. I'm just bringing him home.
Bart, tell her. Tell her I'm right.
You're both wrong. Marguerite, I can't find out how they resist the bacteria if you slaughter them all.
It ain't always they oblige in coming in alive.
He means you're being reckless.
Father, the outcome's no better if we hole up in here and don't go outside. We have to find a middle way.
There is no compromise. Not while she's on my sea base.
Your sea base?
I'm going outside.
Bart Torgal has disembarked the habitat.
Bart, come in. It's dangerous. Damn it, boy. I know you can hear me.
Chief, get off the radio and put on your helmet.
What?
Brace!
Unknown to Maida, another Reaper Leviathan tailed its friend and followed them back to the sea base. The Reaper, noticing its friend is dead, goes into a rage, and this Reaper got its revenge. It ravaged the base, breaking some of the structure just in half. Bart Torgal began to make his way to the surface, while his father, seeing a light down deep below in the ocean, does the opposite. Maida, being the badass she is, clings to the monster to try to get its revenge back on the Reaper. Surprisingly, both Paul and Bart, whose names sound like they are the world's worst mall cops, survive long enough to leave a recording behind.
Came out of nowhere. An alien kraken, bigger than a cyclops. Tore a hole clear through the reinforced hull. I barely got my breather in time. I told her. I said others would come. The rupture threw me clear of the habitat, and the monster turned and bore down on me. Just as its tentacles came within reach, Maida appeared out of nowhere. She had a sea glide in one hand, a jagged piece of scrap metal in the other. She meant to butcher that beast or die trying. The last I saw her, she had the metal lodged in its neck as the monster did its best to shake her, contorting off into the darkness. I'm certain she got her wish, one way or another. Then I thought I saw a light deep below me. I hoped maybe Bart had swum clear. I followed it. Now I wonder whether I saw anything at all. Our oxygen is low. The habitat is gone. I can't see the sky. Something surely has the scent of my blood.
The Subnautica cinematic trailer shows us Paul likely got killed by a crab squid, which is straight out of a nightmare if you ask me. We don't hear any more about Marguerite Maida in Subnautica, but knowing her, I wouldn't count her out. As for his son, Bart,
Integrating new PDA data.
This is the first time I've seen sunlight in months. After all that time in the deep, I'd been dreaming of it. Now that I'm back here, I'm finding it hard to enjoy alone. Father was right. We should never have left this place. We shouldn't have gone so deep. They do not want us down there. Despite my best efforts, ill health is taking hold of me. The visions are getting worse. Marguerite and Father are now part of the ecosystem of this incredible planet. It's reassuring to know that when I go, I'll join them. Until then, well, there's always the view.
we find this log at the greenhouse sort of sea base. I doubt the last stages of the car virus are pleasant, but he was right. This is one hell of a view. Interestingly, Bart mentions having hallucinations. We are having hallucinations as well. A strange light appeared, which may have caused Paul to swim down, but I doubt it. Anyway, it's accompanied by a black shadow-looking body, which sort of looks like a bug, to be honest. And to top it all off, it freaking talks to us. But we will address that a little later in the story. Knowing what Bart went through and suffering through the same symptoms, it's kinda tough to listen to his last message. He was likely forced into this trip by his dad, or just along for the ride until his whole life was shot out of the sky. From then on, all he had was the constant bickering of Maida and his father. The only solace he had was the sea life on this planet. And he passed away alone, so far from the sea he grew to love. Yet he did have a spectacular view of it. After finding these guys and their story, it's probably safe to say there aren't any secret survivors that I can find on planet 4546b. And we can add to the body count the quarantine enforcement platform, and ultimately the Kara bacteria has caused. I should have expected as much. How could someone survive on this planet for 10 years? But at least now I can sleep at night. Plus, the expedition led to a lot of useful building equipment. Spotlights, grow beds, bulkheads, and even the alien containment module. We also found a strange little egg we will leave in there to hatch. There was also an orange alien tablet, which is likely the key to some alien building we've yet to find. It's sad that I don't have any survival buddies, but with the help of their ghosts, survival is getting easier day by day. We can start focusing on the main mystery, the precursors, and the Kara bacteria. When we were at the quarantine enforcement platform, our PDA was able to download the location of 2 separate alien facilities. A disease research building, which sounds promising, and a thermal power plant. We are going to have to build some new gadgets, but that's what we will do next episode. If you're still watching the Subnautica series, I'd like to thank you. It seems a lot of people were just here for Outer Wilds, but I kinda suspected that. So if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to the Lore Explorer. It really helps and lets me know you guys like what I do. And thanks everyone for watching. For now, this is the Lore Explorer diving deep into the sea to unravel the mystery of the planet 4546b.